Listen here, feller, we're back after a million years.
Well, I think the last
Uh,
episode we recorded was at I think it was the Halloween special, wasn't it?
yes, it was.
And I recall also saying in that video, like, "Oh, we're gonna try so much better to like be better about getting in here and doing these kind of things."
Yeah, well, in our defense, it was Christmas time for like a month,
Yes,
and we
strictly
both were
from
just
from
working,
October 31st to November 1st. It's immediately Christmas time.
literally. No, I mean, we both were just working a lot, and then we had family to visit, and then, I don't know about you, but I was doing some crafty gifts, so that's what I've been working on.
I don't think I did much over the past couple weeks other than working and sleeping, and then well, of course, like holiday stuff as well, like
Yeah, literally, yeah. Well, today's episode is really geared towards,
Christmas.
as you could guess by the title, Spider-Man. Dun, dun, dun.
What was that?
You're supposed to finish
I don't
it.
even. What was it? I don't even know what it is.
Da, 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 da.
Oh, okay. Bump a dump a dump bump
Okay,
a dump.
well, that was fucking ruined. So, anyways,
Just fix it in post. It's fine.
so just this is your first spoiler warning, and I'm gonna say that a couple times just in case a lot of people haven't seen the movie by this time or whenever this gets posted.
7 years from now.
But yeah, also if you know, you know throughout this entire episode, because I want to talk about things before we actually talk about the movie. I want to not just talk about Spider-Man No Way Home. Wait, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yeah.
I get confused about
I
the
want.
title because I've seen so many memes where it's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
Spider-Man
it's
gets a
like
flat tire. Spider-Man can't get home.
can't get home.
Spider-Man misses the
Yeah,
bus. Spider-Man can't get home."
literally. Well, I also want to talk about all the Spider-Mans, including Into the Spider-Man or
Into the Spider-Man. I think
Into
that's a more adult geared version of
Into the
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Into the Spider-Verse. And we won't go into great detail, but I would like to touch on that. Basically, what I wanted to start out with was the fact that, like, I don't know if you did this, but for me, I didn't want to know any spoilers. I didn't want to know anything to do with the movies. So when midnight struck on December 17th, like that very morning, I knew that, like, immediately articles and TikToks and whatever were gonna come out and be like Spider-Man this, Spider-Man that. I was like, I don't want anything to do with that. So I only checked TikTok only when like you would send me things or whoever would send me videos.
Mm. Oh yeah.
Rarely did I go onto my For You page because I did not want to deal with that. And I really almost ruined it once because a mutual of mine on TikTok was like, oh, here's a video. And then it said Spider-Man spoilers. And I said, okay, this is why I didn't get on here.
Yeah.
But did you do anything like that?
I didn't do it for Spider-Man, and I kind of accidentally did it to myself. And this has nothing to do with Spider-Man. Um, Also around this time, well, in this brief absence that we've had, Boba Fett has started airing on Disney Plus, and I was like, oh, I really
Right.
want to watch that. And to answer your question quickly, I don't really care about spoilers that much. It's like very rare, like when it comes to visual media, that I care about some kind of spoiler. It doesn't happen that often. But with
Yeah.
Boba Fett, I for some reason was just like, I don't want to know anything. I just want to fucking sit back and rewatch, not sit back and just fucking have them show me whatever shit they're gonna do.
Yeah.
And the day that Boba Fett came out, I worked, so I got up late, and I went to go deal with my morning ablutions. I open up my For You page, and there's a scene in Parks and Recreation. I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh, yeah, I remember this video.
Yeah, Patton Oswalt has like a filibuster thing at like the Pawnee Town Hall, and he talks about how Boba Fett survives the Sarlacc pit, and then somebody took that scene and like stitched it with the opening scene of the show, which is exactly that. And I was like, no, and
Spoiler.
I quickly swiped away, and I was like, oh wait, that was Parks and Recreation. I love Patton Oswalt, and I swiped back and then watched it again. I was like, oh god, am I fucking stupid or something?
Well, anyways, nothing to do with Spider-Man, but
Yeah.
I'm reading my notes real quick. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Um, I don't.
Sorry,
I don't.
did you have...
No, that was it for me. I was waiting for you to jump
Okay.
back in just because right before we started, you were like, I have so much to say. And we're 2 minutes in, and you're like, dead silence, cricket noises.
This fucking podcast, great episode off to a great start.
Yes, amazing.
Yeah, so the other thing I wanted to mention real quick was Josh and I watched Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movies. And then, because at that point, it was just before the movie had come out. And so we're like, you know what? Let's watch Spider-Man Homecoming and let's watch Spider-Man Far From Home. Well, guess what? Disney Plus didn't have the goddamn movies, so weren't able to do that.
That was such a weird
that was
thing.
nice.
And I don't think we ever figured out, was that like a Sony thing going on where they're like, oh, we've owned the rights to Spider-Man since Tobey Maguire. And they like,
I really have no idea.
Or was it like a Disney Vault thing where they kind of took it off Disney Plus just before the movie came out? They're like,
I think that's what it was.
Money.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it ended up being. I didn't really look into that, but I was just like, really?
Yeah.
I think when Disney Plus launched, I feel like they had those movies originally on there, or at least the first one. Because I remember seeing it on there because I was like, I need to watch those, but here we are. But yeah, we weren't able to watch Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies, so we ended up watching Tobey Maguire's, seeing the movie, and then we actually went back and watched Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man because we were like under the impression that they were garbage. Well, at least I was. I don't know about you, Josh, but I was like...
I think when we were younger and those movies were coming out, I was still a little bit petty about they're not using Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, this is going to fucking suck because Tobey Maguire is the best Spider-Man ever. And then what changed my mind was actually the movie when we went and watched it, actually. I loved Andrew Garfield's like whole performance of that kind of Peter Parker. So I was like, oh, God, we're going to have to fucking watch these now. And they were great. I loved both of them.
Yeah. Again, spoiler warning. I don't know. Should we just go right into No Way Home?
Yeah.
Well, first of all in all, like, what did you think of the movie?
I'll say what I said when we saw it that day. Right when the lights came up, I looked over at you and I said something along the lines of, the whole time I was expecting it not to be that good, and then they would have amazing scenes and then those would last like 7 or 8 minutes, and then you would kind of come off and they'd be pushing the story forward and be like, oh, this movie, that scene was kind of cool, and they get into another amazing scene, and then that would last, and then they would push the story forward. I just didn't really care, but I loved those scenes. But over the span of, I think that movie was like, it had a runtime of almost like 2 hours or something, right? Or it was more than 2 hours?
It was 2 hours and maybe 40 minutes or 2.5.
Okay, yeah.
It was a long movie.
Yeah, but over that span, I kind of realized, I was like, oh, this is just a fucking awesome movie. This is just really good. I was just, like, I think mentally maybe I was kind of like downplaying it in my mind, but even like just all the bits that I loved were so good, regardless of how I felt between those little like down parts in movies, which every movie does have.
Yeah, hearing you say that, like, I can actually think back and be like, yeah, like, there was the first scene, it was obviously you have the establishing shot, but then it just has those in between moments where you're like, okay, take a break and breathe and think about something for 2 seconds. But then it immediately gets into the next scene, and you're like, "Oh my God, what is this?"
Yeah.
So to me, I think that was the whole movie. So like, it was just good scene after good scene after good scene. Is there like a scene that comes to mind for you that was like your favorite?
Oh, my favorite. I think my favorite scene in the whole movie is, it doesn't even, for how much I said about like preemptively not really liking the idea of Andrew Garfield and even Tom Holland's Spider-Man. One of my favorite scene in that whole movie, it's the scene with, spoiler alert by the way, Andrew Garfield gets first introduced because his name is Nate, right? The friend?
Ned,
thank you. Ned has the sling ring, and they summon Peter Parker, but it's Andrew Garfield, and he's like trying to prove that he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he's hanging from the wall, and MJ, Zendaya, is like trying to activate his spider sense to prove it's him. And she throws the bread at him, and he's like, I don't have a Spidey thing for like bread. It's just I love that whole little interaction. And then the thing with his relative was amazing. It was like, oh, since you're up there, she'd like you to get that spider web, and he has to
get the cobweb.
Yeah, to get the cobweb, and he fucking like crawls across the top to like get it. Amazing, the whole scene.
Yes, that whole scene, and then included with Tobey Maguire's entrance, that is what top tier, one of the best scenes of the whole movie, of course, because everybody's been anticipating that and like theorizing how that would happen and whatnot. And I think what's a little tangent here, but what I kind of love about the internet is like, we have Reddit, we have Twitter, we have literally any platform on the goddamn earth that you can just go on to and like literally start a thread about something, and then people are like, yeah, but like, what if this happened, or like, what if this happened? And then literally like celebrities, like directors, actors, so on and so forth, they can like go on there and see that and be like, that's actually kind of a good idea. You know what I mean? Like, just the fact that like somebody in the Spider-Verse being like, what if like Peter Parker and this Peter Parker did this? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that just blows my mind, because people have always just been like, I think Peter Parker would do this to this Peter Parker, or blah, blah, blah. And like, a good example of that is like the Spider-Man meme, where there's 3 Spider-Mans, they're all pointing at each other, and they did that not once, they did it twice.
Yeah, I still don't recall the second time, but the first recognition that I saw was they're in the lab doing their respective like Peter Parker speciality thing, and that Ned was trying to get Tom Holland Peter's attention, and they just kept pointing at each other, like, which Peter Parker.
So I think the second time they do that is at the end when they're fighting the bosses. They don't know who's Peter 1 or who's Peter 2, and they were like, well, I thought you were Peter 2, and they're pointing at each other. So I think that was the second time. Mm-hmm. Whether that was intentional or non-intentional, it's really great to see that people like who know this meme, which is a famous meme amongst the internet people.
Amongst meme lords? Meme lords of the fourth degree?
I think it's really cool to like recognize that, and like just kind of, if it was not intentional, it's really cool to like claim that as if they did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you haven't said what your favorite scene was, though.
That's true. I have too many.
Well, yeah, I have plenty of favorites too. The whole movie was fantastic.
God. I'm gonna have to say my favorite scene. Oh man, I just keep thinking of multiple ones though. I'm gonna say my top 3 though. Okay.
Yep.
So number 1 is gonna be the fight scene where all the Peter Parkers are fighting together and working as a team. Many people who look at TikTok and have seen the movie probably have seen this scene where they use the song from Hunchback of Notre Dame and they merge it into like another song, and it's them jumping off of the scaffolding of the Lady Liberty.
Which song?
And
is it Hellfire?
No, the One Day.
Oh, I've not seen that.
Or not One Day. I think it's Out There. Won't regret.
I know the song.
I'll have spent one day out there.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's that one. So
Stitch,
I think you have. You just can't think of it right now. But it's that TikTok and like that, or that scene when they're all running off of the scaffolding together, and then they're like using each other to like web swing onto each other, or just like try to get around, Yeah. So that's one of my top. That's like my first favorite scene, because they're all working together and they're a team. I just love it. But other than that, my next scene that I thought of was when Tom Holland's Peter Parker fights the Green Goblin. And oh my God, I feel
3 times a day you will bring up the fact that fucking Willem Defoe's Green Goblin like fucking WWE body slams Tom Holland in that scene. You will come up in the morning when I come home from work, and just before we go to bed, you're like, do you remember that scene when the Green Goblin fucking bodies Tom Holland like that? In the apartment building. You're like, yes, Caitlin, it was cool.
Josh is like, I was there.
I saw it with you.
Okay, 2 comments about that. 1. Wait, what was I going to say? 1. No, fuck it, I don't remember. What I was going to say was, I want Willem Dafoe to body slam me, okay? Is that okay?
Yeah.
I will. Obviously, that is something that happened for the past 3 weeks, ever since we saw that goddamn movie, because, I just don't feel like a lot of people are actually talking about it, because they've only been talking about the Toby, Andrew, and Tom Peter Parkers. Like, I have not seen, like, really a lot about, like, the Green Goblin. At least on my For You page. But yeah, I did bring it up like 3 times a day for the past 3 weeks. Do you remember that scene?
Remember when you fucking bodies Tom Holland in that one scene at the apartment?
I don't know why it's just a turn on. I don't know. I'm sorry. But it's like it's just so insane. It's because he doesn't do that in Tobey Maguire's movies, and so he's over here just fucking WWE over here.
That's something that I wanted to talk about after seeing this scene, and I don't know what exactly about not this scene, this movie. I don't know what exactly about it was, but in comparison between Tobey Maguire's first Spider-Man movie and this like culmination of all three of them, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's just the writing has changed, or maybe it's just like the air of performing the scene has changed. But I felt like they did like a really good job in kind of showing what's wrong with the villains, or they painted them in like a new light. Because
Mm-hmm.
what I mean with the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie is one, we understand that like Norman Osborn doesn't want to be the Green Goblin, and he's like mortified by that whole thing. But it
Yeah.
felt like it was like that little notch for his personality in this newest film was like really dialed up to 11. Like it felt like the way Willem Dafoe portrayed it and the way it was written and shot, it just came across
Yes.
more. I don't know even. I don't have the word to like fully kind of say what I mean when I say here, but like it came across as more visceral. I'm gonna go with that. He like really just seems like at the end of his rope with trying to fucking deal with this thing.
I think maybe another good word, because I've seen this float around with the TikToks I've seen, is that he's a real menace. I don't know if that's something you were trying to say too.
What do you mean by that though?
Oh, like people were just like, oh, look at Green Goblin be a menace in this scene. So it was like him uh switching to like Green Goblin, or like him body slamming him through the apartment floors or something like that. Or like, oh, you know what? A perfect example was when freaking Tom Holland T bones. That's not the
T
word.
bones.
T bags.
Oh,
Freaking Green Goblin, and like is punching him and punching him,
oh,
and
with his
Willem
groin.
Dafoe
Oh
is
yeah, I
like
remember that. Yeah.
smiling at him because he's just like, that's nothing, you know. So it's never mind. That was a tangent. Go on with your thought though.
Yeah, it's just I don't know how to kind of explain it. Maybe like this. So in Tobey Maguire's first Spider-Man, it kind of feels like he's going insane, and they were trying to make like a film kind of quickly. Maybe they were just kind of brushing over that, because I remember the first scene when he like is talking to himself, but it's the Goblin obviously, and he's like, "Oh no!" and then it kind of cuts away after like a few minutes. Like
Hmm.
but they kind of did it again in this newer movie when it kind of comes back, and he's like, I guess he's more digested with the idea that he's like going crazy, and he's just trying to get done with it. I don't know. Again, I'm failing to fully make my point here because I don't speak English well. I've only been speaking it for 23 years, but I really liked the way they did that with Willem Dafoe's character, but that even extends to all the other characters, I think.
Can I give you a little nice fact
Yeah.
that I found out? So apparently, when they were shooting the first Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in 2002, besides like being able to hear the difference between Norman Osborn and Green Goblin, they changed Willem Dafoe's teeth.
Uh,
So they gave him like a false set of teeth.
yeah.
Do you know this?
Dude, I literally saw this today. Like I wasn't. It was on
Okay.
my For You page. It was just somebody was like, "Oh, this is an
I
interesting
feel like I
fact."
sent it to you as well or
Oh,
something.
that's probably
But
maybe.
for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, they had made a false set of teeth for Willem Dafoe, so he would wear the straight teeth when he was Norman Osborn, and then they would use his like regular teeth, like which are quote unquote imperfect, if you will, but using his regular set of teeth when he was the Green Goblin, which he's got like a small gap in his teeth. So that was like one way you could visually see who he was at the moment, which I never knew that. Because even like when we rewatched the first Spider-Man movie, you had mentioned to me that like, oh, you can tell like instantly when he is now Green Goblin versus when he's Norman Osborn.
Yeah, his like
because,
manner of speaking is different when like that
yeah,
little switch goes off in his brain.
Yeah, it was crazy just to like go see that. And it hasn't been like that long since we've seen the original Spider-Man movies. Because like we watched them maybe like what 2 years ago or something.
Yeah, before we watched them
And
in
so,
this instance, it had probably been like 2 years
yeah,
or something.
and it's just like weird going back and like seeing all these things you don't see before. You know, like now I'm gonna be looking at Willem Dafoe's teeth when we watch the first movie, and I'm gonna be like, man, this man is insane. You know,
This man is not here right now.
Yeah, should we? I want to talk about the villains, all of the villains.
Okay, can you name them all?
So we have Green Goblin.
Yeah.
We have Doc Ock.
Say their villain name and then the real name. That's my challenge to you.
Okay, so Green Goblin, Norman Osborn,
Mhm.
Dr. Otto Octavius, Doc Ock, or Dr. Octopus, whatever you want to call him.
Mhm.
Okay, and then there's I'm thinking of Jamie Foxx right now.
Yeah.
I
To take the
only
stress
remember
off-
Max.
Sorry.
I remember his character's name was Max.
Yeah.
But his villain name was like Electro.
Yeah, it's Electro and his name is Max Dillon.
Dylan. Okay. And then there was Flint. Right?
That's the thing I was about to say. To take the stress off it, I can't name them all. I forget what Sandman's name is. I know it's Flint something.
It's Flint. Yeah. Flint Lockwood.
Flint. Yeah, so yeah, it's just Flint Lockwood.
Yeah. Flint something. Yeah. Is it the Sandman though? Is that his name?
Yeah,
his
it's
villain
Sandman.
name. And then Dr. Connors as Lizard Dinosaur Man. I don't
They were
actually
gonna say
know.
Lizard Daddy there really quick.
Lizard Daddy.
Lizard Daddy.
I don't know
actually-
what his villain name was.
Yeah, I don't think they ever. Did they ever call him something in the Andrew Garfield films? I don't think they called him anything else.
I can only remember Dr. Connors.
Yeah, Alligator Connor. I don't know. Dr.
Was
Alligator.
that it? Was
Yeah.
that all
Those
the
were all.
villains?
Them's was all the villains.
Okay. I just thought about the tree villain Ned thought was in the out.
Oh yeah,
or whatever it's called.
under the Sanctum, the Sanctum Sanctorum. He was like,
Yeah, there you
is that a villain? Is there some kind of tree villain?
So yeah, the villains. I liked the little plot they went with to be like, oh, they just need to be fixed because they're a bad guy, but they're not bad guy. You know?
Yeah, I like that story a lot, especially when it came to what am I trying to say? Especially
Ock?
yes, thank you. Especially with Doc Ock and Green Goblin, where it was just like Norman Osborn and like Otto Octavius. Well, they're all not bad people. Just had like really weird shit happen to them. But I guess I picked up on it more.
You know,
with
watch
those
where you
two.
fall.
What?
Watch where you fall.
Watch where you fall.
Yeah, because Max Dillon fell in a pool of eels, and Flint fell into
Oh yeah.
that
Sorry.
thingy.
Yeah, you
Read the script.
Yeah. I didn't know what the fuck you were talking about. I forgot about that line between Electro and Sandman.
Okay. Anyways, what were you saying?
I don't fucking remember. You really threw me out with the fucking watch where you fall.
What?
Okay, dude.
Oh.
You got it, dude.
Oh my gosh, I just think about this movie and then I'm just like daydreaming about it. But
I mean, I kind of do that too. I don't really. I quote to you on a daily basis the line from the trailer when it's Alfred Molina and he's like, "Hello, Peter." I'll say that to you like 40 times a day.
oh god,
Like you're always talking about that fucking Green Goblin scene. I'm always coming after you and saying, "Hello, Peter."
hello Peter. Any scene with Alfred Molina, top tier, so good, love him. And one of my friends actually told me that Alfred Molina was in the Sorcerer's Apprentice, and I feel like you told me this.
I didn't know.
When we were-
I didn't tell you that. Who the fuck is
No,
he?
like, let me finish my sentence. Goddammit.
Okay, sorry. This is news. I'm frantically googling
I
Alfred Molina. Fucking
I thought you
sorcerer.
knew.
No, I didn't know. And then you were just like, "Yeah, you told me that." And I was like, "I
He's-
didn't fucking tell you that."
He's the baddie.
Oh, he's the bad guy. Okay.
See,
did
I
not
thought you
recognize-
knew.
No.
I thought you knew because like we watched that movie months ago, and I thought you were like, oh yeah, that's Doc Ock from Spider-Man. So maybe that didn't happen.
Wasn't me, Kang, because he has a different accent because he's American and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He has like a British accent or something.
Anyways,
Yes.
yeah. Sorry, I was thinking about Alfred Molina.
Yeah. Oh,
you know how it is.
turned into the peanut butter baby for 5 seconds.
So, you remember how you were kind of confused about why Peter had webbed Norman Osborn's hand to the machine?
Yeah.
You were like, why did he do that?
It wasn't to the machine. He webbed him to like a window.
No, it was to the machine.
The machine was in the next room, though.
They were in the next room. They were in the kitchen.
Yeah, but yeah.
Josh, who's seen this movie twice?
You?
Yes.
But I also know that you like to daydream about Alfred Molina and what's his name? Fucking Norman Osborn. What's his name?
Green Goblin?
No, the actor, Willem Defoe.
Oh, Willem Dafoe.
I know you like to daydream about those two, and in that scene, they're both in the same room. So I could see you just daydreaming through the scene like you did the first time.
Okay, so the thing is, Peter Parker gets his Spiderman tinglies going, and he's like, he doesn't know what's wrong, but then he figures out that Norman Osborn is now Green Goblin, and he webs his hand to the machine that's by the kitchen table.
So was he gonna pour that like awfully hot coffee pot on the machine?
No. So what I came to the conclusion was, and I could be wrong, but what I assumed what was going on was he had figured out that he was no longer Norman Osborn and was now the Green Goblin. And so he was trying to like put him in one place so he wouldn't go off and like maybe jump through the fucking window or something.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what was he doing with the coffee pot? Why was Willem Dafoe holding the coffee pot? Because in my mind, he wasn't standing next to the machine. They were in the kitchen. And the machine is adjacent to the kitchen.
I don't think any coffee pot is involved.
What was he holding?
He wasn't holding anything.
Yes, he was. He was holding something, and then he like webs him, and then like his hand is stuck there with this giant coffee pot looking thing.
No, that's the robot arm. I'll go see the movie tomorrow and I'll tell you.
Yeah, fuck it. Well, how about
that?
this, Caitlin? Illegally screen that one scene. Come home, show me it, and then we'll fucking know.
There you go.
I think he was holding like a fucking coffee pot, and he was like gonna throw it out a window, and then Peter was like, "Whoa, bad vibes," and he shot his hand holding the coffee pot because like maybe that had the serum in it or something. I don't know, because May had to go grab it. It wasn't the serum, whatever the fuck it was.
Can we talk about May for 2 seconds?
Yeah.
So, at this point, I was being a ding dong.
Tom Holland had just gotten body slammed by the Green Goblin, if you can believe it. And then minutes later.
You could believe it. So, spoiler, obviously, but Aunt May, she does die. But she was, like, walking around, and I was like, I think she had just said, she said the famous line of, with great responsibility comes with...
Oh my god, Caitlin. You got it backwards.
Sorry, I gotta go jump out this window.
Sorry, I have to go watch all the Spider-Man movies and then jump out a window.
Sorry, I need Green Goblin to slam me through the fucking apartment floors. Okay, she says the famous line, with great power comes with great responsibility. And I was just saying out loud, I was like, you're not Uncle Ben.
Yeah. Now,
all of a sudden, the movie decides to say,
you are
Uncle Ben, and you're dead now. And I said, oh shit. So that happened right after I said that. They were like, oh no. Or Aunt May, she's broken. And she was like feeling all wobbly and shit. And I was like, oh god damn it. And I audibly was like, oh son of a bitch. And you were like, what the fuck are you saying over there? And I was like, I couldn't say anything, obviously, because it was very quiet, and we were trying to have a moment with Aunt May,
Yeah.
But I was just like, oh no.
We do that little meme thing where, like, we'll just kind of make references to each other. Like, we'll whisper, like, TikTok audios or, like, little inside jokes between us during the scenes. But it got to a point where, like, you were whispering so quietly, and you like to mumble in real life. So I wouldn't hear what you're saying, and now this little half-second thing is now turning into like a 12-second interaction. I'm like, what the fuck are you saying? And it happened like enough times. I was like, you were like, oh, bitch. And I was like,
Bitch.
What are you? Shut up. Just be quiet for the next 10 minutes of this movie. Because it's such an important scene in the film, and you're just like, man, you bitch. Okay. Let's play the Quake game. But
Never. I'll never do that.
I had a similar experience that I had with Spider-Man getting snapped in Avengers that I had with Aunt May in this movie. Maybe it's because I haven't seen the other movies. Maybe it's because I don't really care about that character specifically, or maybe it was that second reason. But like, there's just other things that I'm thinking about, like Alfred Molina, Willem Defoe, Jamie Foxx, the guy who plays Flint, and obviously the three Spider-Men. But like, they had that whole heart-crushing scene where she's like, "Oh, Peter, I love you," and she dies, and you were like, "Oh my god!" And I just sat there and I was like, "This kind of reminds me of that Spider-Man scene." I just don't really fucking care.
Jesus Christ. And to me, I think it was more of like how well these actors were portraying that scene. And so
how well Tom Holland got slammed through a wall, through the floor by fucking.
Here's the thing. I was so emotional during that part. A, because I just made that dumbass joke. And B, Tom Holland's Peter, although all the Peter Parkers of the movies that we've seen, he's in high school. Tom Holland, specifically to me, seems so much younger than the other two, especially now that they're all in the same universe. So we got Big Brother Toby, middle child, fucking cousin Andrew Garfield, and then baby Tom
middle
Holland.
Brother cousin. What's going on in the Parker family?
Anyways, when it comes down to it,
my favorite sibling, middle brother cousin.
I'll get back to it. Just let me finish. When it comes down to it, I feel like Tom Holland's Peter Parker is just so innocent and young in my eyes, and it doesn't help that Tom Holland looks like a fucking 12-year-old. But he was just portraying this scene so well that it made me cry. And it made me cry until the end of the movie, until the best scene ever, and then I cried some more. Josh, literal tears, like 4 teardrops were falling from my eyes at the same time.
The first thing you said to me after the movie was, "I cried 2 times." And that was like all you had to say in the moment because you were still shocked by the movie. You were just like, I cried 2 times. Okay.
I cried. Yeah, so anyways, just to end that.
If you could, I want to ask this question. I want to turn again.
Go ahead.
If you could change one thing about the movie, what would it have been?
One thing comes to mind, and then nothing else comes to mind. Because one thing is, they like...
I have a list. It's 1 item long, and then there's nothing else. Okay? That would certainly be something.
Shut the fuck up.
That's what you said.
Listen, just hear me out, okay? Just go along with it.
I have 2 lists of things. The first list has 1 thing. The next list, 0 things. All right.
I'm laughing so hard my headphones are falling off. Okay. The first thing that came to mind was the fact, and this is the end of the movie now, the fight between Tom Holland's Peter Parker and the Green Goblin had just happened, right? And Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker stepped in because he didn't want Tom Holland to fall into the steps of these villains dying on his hands. So after that point, the Green Goblin stabs Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, holy fucking shit. And then he was just fine. So like, I wonder if that was more of like Green Goblin's revenge because he was stabbed by his glider, so he stabbed Peter Parker.
Well, I think being a villain, he would have stabbed him anyways, regardless. And at that point, he hadn't been stabbed yet. He was going to go back to be stabbed, or at least that's what they thought.
That's true.
So what exactly are you wanting to change? What the fuck are we talking about right now, bro? I have one thing. It's going to be quick.
Okay, sorry. But that's just the first thing that came to mind when you asked that question. It was just like he got stabbed and then he was just fine, you know.
Well, he wasn't.
But
I understand.
Well, I understand. But then they just kind of dropped it. Like, we were just like, okay, he survived. He's fine. It's fine.
Well, they were like 30 seconds away from being snapped back into their own dimension, so I'm
Okay,
guessing it would have
so
been
here's
fine.
the thing. Here's the thing. I thought of that scene and then thought of nothing else. So I wouldn't change anything then.
Okay.
Is that okay?
I don't know what. So you wanted to get it stabbed more times? Like, you wanted to get Caesar salad, or like, you want him to get stabbed no times, or do you want him to like?
Shut up. What is yours?
Okay, I'm just wondering, bro. Gosh, golly. I would change one thing in the whole movie, and I would want it to be Alfred Molina's last line would be "Goodbye, Peter," and then he's gone, but he says it with the same tone that he does when he first shows up, and he's like, "Hello, Peter."
Oh God, yeah, I would have died.
Yeah, I thought that would have been pretty cool. It has literally no fucking point though. I don't remember what Doc Ock's last line was. I think it was just like
I feel like it was just.
I think he spoke to Toby.
Oh no.
Like, you good?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
No, he was like, how are you, my boy, or some shit like that. And then Toby's like, trying to do better or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that was his last line, and then he went bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Whew. My tummy hurts.
Your tummy hurts. Is there something else you want to talk about?
I wanted to go back to...
Wanted to go back to Tom Holland getting bodied through the fucking floor by Green Goblin.
Hey guys, did you
remember
know
that scene? That scene was
Green
so
Goblin
good.
bodies?
I wish you would do that to me.
Okay, no, I was going to bring up why I said middle child cousin about Andrew Garfield's character. So, many occasions we keep mentioning that, not like in this episode, in like IRL, Josh and I will always say that, good lord, Andrew Garfield, his Peter Parker has 9-year-old cousin with the tablet vibes or energy.
Yeah.
And it's so fucking funny, and that's what I was trying to allude to, but also, he also is the middle child, because obviously Tobey Maguire's the oldest, so he is the bigger brother, and then Tom Holland is the youngest, and he is the current Spider-Man, so he's like he's baby child.
Baby boy.
So I was just like, he gives me not only 9-year-old cousin vibes, but he also is the middle child, so that's what I was just trying to allude to, but sorry.
That's another one of my favorite scenes, by the way, is when Andrew Garfield refers to himself as Third Peter, because I think he tries to assert that he's Peter 1.
Yeah.
But then they just kept calling each other, Toby, MJ, Ned, and Tom kept calling one or the other Tom Peter 1, Peter 2, and he was like, Peter 3! That line is...
Okay, Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3, Peter 3! Another really great scene.
Yeah. I think of all the scenes that they did with like those three as like the main kind of focus of the scene, I don't think there was anything that I didn't really care for. Like, there was like a scene early on in the film when it was another meme moment where, and this is something I didn't care for with personally Green Goblin's like presence in the film, is Willem Defoe gets like locked up in the magic prison right away.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes that meme of, I'm a bit of a scientist myself. And like,
yeah.
I was like, okay, that's very clearly a reference. Haha, it's been 20 years. Fuck you too. And then like, move on. It wasn't to like Willem Dafoe, because I haven't seen anything where like he was like, well, we should put this in the movie because it's a meme. But I'm guessing like some writer or like aide or something, or maybe the director was like, we should put this in the movie because like kids love that meme. But I just didn't really care for it. I was like, you could have cut that. Like, I didn't need it. I need new memes. I don't need memes from 20 years ago. But thankfully, he slammed Tom Holland through a floor, so that's the new meme.
Yeah. Did you know that when Andrew Garfield's Peter looks at the other two and says, I love you guys, that was improvised?
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
It's coming to surface that he improvised that part, and then Toby and Tom were like, thank you. They were like really confused, and everybody was like, okay. And then I guess he came out, or somebody was like, yeah, that was improvised. And everybody's like, what?
Mm-hmm. Andrew Garfield, the greatest man in the universe?
Universe? I'm sorry to go back to motherfucking Green Goblin.
Slamming Tom Holland through a fucking floor, WWE style.
I'm sorry,
Tune in Monday.
but I'm sorry, but his outfits as well.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Amazing.
Dude, that whole progression was so cool.
I don't care if it was a robe or a coat.
We had an argument about that in the
amazing on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he wore that on top like a purple hoodie. I was really not expecting that.
Yeah. It was so cool.
And here's the thing. I'm not big into comic books, so I'm not like in tune with like the original Spider-Man costume, the original Green Goblin costume. Like I'm not up to date with that.
Yeah.
So like I did not catch on to what they were like trying to emulate for later on.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came to it and they were doing the big fight scene where he slams them through the fucking floors, his sweatshirt obviously gets all ripped up and everything, and it was like, oh, I see now.
Yeah, I turned into the...
I could see all the tears,
yeah,
and I was like, oh my god.
I turned into the Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he like points in that one Quentin Tarantino film. Because I was like, oh fuck, I know what that is. Like, because when I first saw that, we had like a little like mini discussion. And you're like, why is he wearing that? I was like, this isn't his universe. He's a fucking homeless man right now. And it's purple and green because, you know, that's Goblin colors. You know, in the lore, it's Goblin colors.
In the lore.
But then, like, I could not have guessed that would have developed into, like the reference to the original, like, comic. I thought that was so fucking cool.
I really liked everybody's new villain look, in a way. But the only two that really didn't get anything was Flint and Dr. Connors.
Flint Marko, that's his name.
Oh, okay. Because, like, I feel like I read somewhere that he was... obviously he was Sandman the entire time until the end. But, like, he was, like, CGI'd the entire time. Like, obviously.
When he was made of sand?
Well, no, he was standing the entire time. Yeah, I know. What I'm trying to say is, like, I don't even know.
What, did they Grand Mal Tarkin him or something? Did they just CGI him to look a bit younger or something?
Even when, like, he turned back into himself. I think that's what I was trying to get to, but he just didn't look real. You know? It just was weird.
No, I thought he looked fun.
I wonder... I don't know. I thought I saw something that was just like, he had to do every scene CGI or the computer made him. He wasn't even there.
He's in the Matrix.
Because, like, you know, behind the scenes, when they're making the movie, they'll put all these, like, gadgets on the actors nowadays to like, simulate the costume. But that just, to me, it just seemed like they didn't even do that for this actor, whoever played Flint, and he was just, graphics the entire time. Like, it wasn't even a person.
But Electro got an update, at least from the adjacent Andrew Garfield film, because in that one, that he, you know, Jamie Foxx, as great of an actor as he is, he's not made of electricity, so they had to do a lot of like CGI stuff. In the beginning, I think there was like, well, he transitions from his electric form to like an actual body, which didn't happen in the original. I felt like that was like a really nice choice to go with, because, you know, CGI in a base respect is a really cool thing, but like if you use too much of it, it's like jarring. Like it kind of throws off.
Yeah.
Just like the whole film for some reason, and I don't know why. For me personally, I'm not saying it. You know,
I have a question for you.
Like, at least I'm glad that they went with like making Jamie Foxx like into an actual physical person and have that portrayal.
True.
Have that kind of portrayal versus what they did in the original Andrew Garfield film.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I just thought about the scene where he goes to catch Flint and Max Dillon.
Who's he?
So, sorry, Peter Parker.
Peter 3?
Peter 3!
Which?
No, Tom Holland's Peter Parker.
Okay.
So you remember how his Spider-Man suit is damaged because somebody like splashed him with something? So he has to turn his suit inside out.
Oh, it wasn't damaged. It was just stained. Because somebody threw somebody threw like a fucking milkshake on him or something.
Yeah. So what did you think of that? Like why do you think they did that with like the inside out Spider-Man into the darkness little thing, because it was like black and it was like mechanical looking.
I didn't really care.
Okay, that answers that.
Already. Boom.
Like I understood that he was like in the darkness, so he kind of blended in a little more, but also they didn't really like go anywhere with it. Just besides the fact that it was
I guess it was like
Inside Out.
It's like a plot point. There was just like, oh, they really hate Spider-Man. This guy threw his fucking Shamrock Shake on him.
Well, I guess it was more into the fact that he didn't want the green to show up as much. So he turned it inside out so then it wouldn't get recognized, or so that they wouldn't see him. So I guess that's something, but sorry, I was just curious if you had thought about that. But
No, I saw it and went, okay. Then I moved on with my life.
to go back a little earlier as well, when we were talking about our favorite scenes, the other scene that I was thinking about that was most memorable to me was when Ned gets the sling ring and then he like, I wish I could just see Peter again. And then it sparks up. I looked at you and just did that. I don't know if there's probably a meme related to this. I just don't know which one. But I looked at you, looked at the screen, looked at you, looked at the screen, looked at you, looked at the screen like 3 times. And I was like, Ned!
Yeah, I want a Ned spin-off movie, like with Doctor Strange, and like he's like an apprentice. That'd be really fucking cool.
Yeah,
I want that for Ned in his life.
Can't wait for
He
that.
deserves it. But
He deserves
it'll
it.
have to be post Spider-Man 4, because the whole thing about how the movie ends is that everybody forgets who Peter Parker is. So Ned doesn't even know that like he can do magic. He's a magic man.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the multitude of things of like how
I
sad the
hate
ending
this.
is. Yeah.
Okay, so I had mentioned earlier that I had cried twice.
Yes.
But so I cried when Aunt May died,
Mm-hmm.
and then I cried when all the Peter Parkers were swinging and fighting together, and then I was crying again because Peter Parker won. Tom Holland's Peter was like, okay, do the original spell, just make everybody forget that I was Spider-Man to fix this, you know? And then I was like, I can't handle this anymore. Because then he, like, has to go tell his best friends. I'm gonna cry again. But he had to go tell his friends that he's like, yo, you're not gonna remember me. Oh, it broke my heart. Because then, like, he sees him in that coffee shop where MJ's working,
Well, yeah,
and then they don't know him.
He didn't bump into him. He had a speech written.
Yeah, he went to go find them.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was a really good sequence. I really liked that touch, and I have not seen the previous, what was it, 2 Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland, and whenever I can, I'll try and watch them. But I want to go see the 4th one. It doesn't even have Toby and Andrew, maybe not, but I want to see it. That's how good this fucking movie was. Cause like we touched on earlier, it was, like, I didn't really care to see Tom Holland or Andrew Garfield because I was still like bitter about like Tobey Maguire not being it. I was like, no, things.
And then you saw Andrew.
Change is awful.
Then you saw Andrew Garfield hanging from the ceiling by his fingertips, and I
fell in love with him.
This man's a legend.
This man, I love him. I want him to body slam me through the floor like Willem Defoe did to Tom Holland.
Green Goblin. We went back and watched. Sorry, we went back to watch the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I was like totally changed. I was a changed person because after we were like, oh yeah, Andrew Garfield is the 9-year-old cousin. Because I don't know what he was on during that movie, but it was just insane because I don't know, he just, even though like Toby's really memeable, so was Andrew. It's just a different kind of meme, you know?
I felt like he was more grunge and like edgy.
He was very edgy with his little skateboard.
If there's nothing else, I'd like to get to this quiz. We haven't brought it up yet, but of course we do a quiz every fucking time. Is there anything else?
Okay.
You want to say?
Let me just end it with the fact that this movie was so good. I've seen it twice at this moment. I will probably see it another 2 times.
Oh my god. Let me just end it with, I want Green Goblin to body slam me through a floor like Tom Holland.
Through the floor. Through 6 floors.
Yes,
please.
yeah, 6 floors even.
You want to start us off with let's actually say the name of it and then start the first question.
Okay. as a preface, of course, we're going to do a Spider-Man quiz, but I was able to find a quiz that asks 7 questions, and they can tell us which Spider-Man we're most like. And this only includes Tom, Toby, and Andrew. This doesn't include, like, the other Spider-Verse Spider-Man. The first question is, how far would you go to save a stranger? Not far. A few feet. I would weigh my options as far as I am allowed, only if no one else gets hurt, to the ends of the earth. God, that's a very good question. I don't know. I don't know how to answer this one. I'm just going to say only if no one else gets hurt. I don't know if that includes, like, if I don't know if, like, if I'm saving a kitten from, like, a tree that's on fire, or, like, if the Green Goblin is trying to body slam you through 6 floors and I have to hurt the Green Goblin or not. So I'm just going to go with that. The bottom middle, only if no one else gets hurt.
I said, a few feet.
A few feet. Yeah, I'll go to the bathroom if it's like that far. Yeah.
All right, pick a Spider-Man villain: Mysterio, Green Goblin, Lizard, Electro, Dr. Octopus, or J. Jonah Jameson.
That's what? That's controversial. You're trying to tell me that my man? I about said Richard Simmons. I don't know why I would say that.
Richard Simmons.
I know who he is. God, I can't think of his name though.
J.K. Simmons.
Yes, thank you, J.K. Simmons. Oh, Richard Simmons, J.K. Simmons. Okay, it wasn't that far. Anyways, he's not a villain. He's just a dude. He's
just a dude.
Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. He's kind of just like a boss who like is a bit of an asshole. I'm not gonna pick J. Jonah Jameson, even though I love J.K. Simmons. He's not a villain, so I'm not gonna pick him.
I'm picking Dr. Octopus.
I'm also picking Doc Ock. No, you know what? Green Goblin.
Wait.
Pick an alternative Spider-Man. Spider-Gwen from the movie Into the Spider-Verse. Spider-Pig, but this one has a picture of Homer Simpson from the movie and not the actual Spider-Pig. Night Monkey? I've never heard of that.
Neither have I.
Penny Parker from the Spider-Verse movie. Symbiote Spidey, so like fucking Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire, and then Miles Morales. I'm gonna go with Spider-Pig. Fucking love Spider-Pig. If it's the Spider-Verse one, I love that character, and I like The Simpsons, so either way, it's a win.
I'm gonna go with Miles Morales. What sparks your origin story? The death of a loved one, witnessing a crime, attempting to fix a mistake, a traumatic childhood memory, being an outcast, or getting bit by an animal.
I thought it said getting hit by an animal. I was like, what, driving a car? I'm going to go with trauma, so then I can walk around being like, I have trauma.
I have trauma? Oh, man. I'll go with the death of a loved one. Oh, right. No.
And the next question is, if this were you, what song would get you moving like this? And you obviously can't see it, but if you know the meme of Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in Spider-Man 3, where he like walks out of a building and he starts dancing in that suit, it's that.
Oh my God.
So the songs are Left Hand Free by Alt J. Don't know who that is. Sunflower by Post Malone and Sway Lee. Don't know the song. Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. Umbrella by Rihanna. The Underdog by Spoon. And Pursuit of Happiness by Kid Cudi. Oh, that's easy. Pursuit of Happiness, Kid Cudi.
I'm going with Sunflower.
What's
You're a sunflower.
I've never heard
You're a
that.
Sunflower.
If you say so.
Do 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 do. You don't know that song?
I don't know that song.
Which Spidey power would you not want to live without? Spidey sense, super strength, super speed, enhanced healing, wall climbing, or spider webs?
Shit, dude.
I feel like I would want the Spidey sense most of all.
Why? How often are you in a situation? I guess it would be handy for when you're in the situation.
Well, if you're Peter Parker...
Yeah, but this doesn't... If you're Spider-Man, which spider power do you want? It says, which spider power do you not want to live without? Like, you're gonna have Spidey sense, but you're gonna be Caitlin, living your normal life. You know?
You're looking too deep into this.
I'm saying, man. You don't want to get... You don't want to get Tobey
what are
Maguire.
you gonna pick?
I'm gonna pick super speed. I want to go fast like Sonic. And I'll use it every day.
I'm going with healing.
Hailing?
Healing.
Okay, last but not least, pick a Spidey meme. WTF Spider-Man. I don't know that meme.
That one is Tom Holland's, so it
Yeah,
was probably.
it looks like him.
Oh, is that? I don't even know what movie that's from.
Well, we haven't seen the other two, so we wouldn't know.
It might have been from the new one.
I don't think so. Either way, sad Peter Parker. It's Tobey Maguire, and he's like crying. You gonna cry? Not that one. The other one. The pointing Spider-Man meme that we made earlier, that we made reference to. Pondering Spider-Man from the Into the Spider-Verse movie. Sexy Green Goblin when it's Willem Defoe fucking throwing it back on his glider. And
look at Spider-Man on the ground.
Oh yeah, you
running
can
away
see his
from him.
ass too. And then it's the MJ defending meme with Kirsten Dunst from
That's a
Toby's,
good one.
obviously.
I'm gonna go with Sexy Green Goblin.
I'm gonna do pointing Spider-Man. I love that meme format. It's good.
Okay.
Oh shit.
So before I say who I got, I have to admit I already did this quiz before this.
Motherfucker.
It happened like after we saw the movie. I'm sorry because I
didn't
didn't know when the
even
fuck we were
follow.
gonna record this. Okay. So
Can I guess before you tell me?
yes.
I'm gonna say.
Yeah, go ahead and just guess. Yeah.
What?
Go ahead.
Andrew. You got Andrew.
I did.
Do you want
Who'd
to
you
guess
get?
what I got?
Did you get Tobey Maguire?
I did not. I got Andrew.
Oh, you
as well.
did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was just going to say, when I took this before, I got Andrew Garfield as well. So, I guess I'm just him.
And the description that BuzzFeed gave is, you're a sarcastic rebel with a cause who is too cool for school. At times, you can be a bit of a smart aleck, and that's just a wall you put up to protect your heart. That's me to a T, man. Okay. Well, that is basically everything we had to talk about. Final remarks. I want Willem Dafoe to throw me through a fucking floor 6 times, like he did to Tom Holland. Caitlin?
I would like that to happen as well, but also Doc
More
Ock
often.
can't... What?
More often. I want it to happen more than one time.
Doc Ock can wrap me around with his octopus arms.
while I get slammed through the floors.
That's right.
All right. Goodbye, Peter.
Shut the fuck up. Listen here, feller. Bye.
Bye.